listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Your hosts, Nate and John, cover their shared history with the band, discover new music together, and cover the farthest reaches of the Deep Purple family tree and beyond. Here's Nate and John now.
Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode 302, Remembering John Sykes. And coming to you from the suburbs of Chicago, where it unexpectedly snows every day, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Jumpstart January Matola.
All right, so what exactly are you jumpstarting in January?
Health, personal growth.
Boring.
Yeah, my car. No, not this time, baby. This is John Auto Start January Matola is more like.
Oh, you got the remote start on your new car, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man, it's great.
Oh yeah, it's been great, especially since it's been the lows and the negatives here. So
yeah, well,
my alarm goes off in the morning. I just reach over to my bedside table. I'm like, boop, beep, 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 and I hear my car just vroom. It's great.
I mean, we've been like in the 20s, the teens, but I think it was like yesterday or today, or within the past couple of days. It was like I just woke up, looked at the weather app, and it was just like 7, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like no thanks.
Digit.
So yeah, very, very grateful for that. But yeah, just jump starting life. I can't wait till all these health and growth, personal growth themes are over with, which is typically January.
Fuck up February.
Well, it is, right? It's just like everybody eats like a bunch of sows during like November and December, right? And then everybody's like, oh, new year, new me, January. And then 6 weeks later, they're just like, oh, chocolate covered strawberries, Valentine's Day.
That's the thing. It's like, I never really had this issue until we had kids, which is just that there's no point where you don't have just candy in your house. Like it doesn't ever happen. It's Christmas, it's Valentine's Day, it's St. Patrick's Day, it's Easter, it's
Friday
Day, it's what and then
it's a random Wednesday,
a little bit of a reprieve in the summer, but then it's just like Halloween and all this stuff. It never stops.
Yeah, well, I mean, also if you don't have children and you're me, you have the same problem.
So I guess children have nothing to do with it.
Well, no, I think so.
Speaking of which, I'm going to have this Henry bar right now while we record.
Oh, Henry.
But yeah, like I for me, it's more just not even the health aspect, which I should be probably more concerned with, but I just get to the point where I'm like, I just want something light. I just want like a sauteed chicken breast with some broccoli and a baked potato. I don't want to eat all this heavy stuff anymore.
Well, I have been to, and I've tried to, clear out everything. I couldn't do it because I had so much shit. So I put it in a a reusable grocery bag. Mm-hmm. And I kind of, folded it up, put it on top of the fridge. And I'm like, all right, so it's still here, but I won't think about it during the week because it's not out in the open.
Oh God, that wouldn't work.
Well, I mean, it does for me until I'm walking by one day and I have so I need something sweet. And then my eyes just dart up to the top of the fridge. And I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, just like one wouldn't hurt. But in between, right, we go to BJ's, right?
Yep.
Which I don't know if
I think it's a regional thing. It's like Costco, sort of. It was Costco before
Costco or like a bulk store. I don't know if they have any of this stuff in overseas, but just a store where you go into and you can buy everything in bulk or great quantities. So I haven't been in quite a while, and I walked by. I don't even know it was the candy section. A 3-pound bag of Cadbury mini eggs, and I'm like, I don't care. That shit's coming home with me. There's no way to. Because I love them. I love them so much.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before, and I'm just like, there's no way that I'm finishing all this in a reasonable amount of time, so I can have a little bit anytime I want.
They're
And
getting they're getting ahead of it, having Easter stuff out already.
I know, but the thing is that like I pulled it out of the bag the other day, and it's like after like a week or two of like hindsight, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I bought this. This thing's huge.
Well,
Like,
everything looks small in Costco. You look at the TVs and you're like, oh, look at this cute little TV. Oh, it's 102 inches. I thought it was smaller than my TV at home, and this thing's massive.
yeah, I can't buy in bulk because I don't have a ton of room here, because I mean, I could buy like 87 rolls of toilet paper, but I don't have like a
Yeah,
garage or anything to store it in. So,
yeah, it's overrated.
mm,
But anyway, folks, thank you for joining us on the Deep Purple podcast. So yeah, sad occasion for an episode this week. We thought, as of recording this, John Sykes has just passed away, and it seems like it came like as kind of a shock to everybody. So we're going to get into that and after the break, and just kind of talk about some of the songs that as over the last few days that people have brought up that we've thought about, and ways to remember him. I don't think either of us are the biggest John Sykes experts by any means, but he's someone that was, a huge figure in rock and roll, and in his ties to the Deep Purple family, and very sad occasion. Sad that he left us so young at 65. We will talk about the show. So at the Deep Purple podcast, we're 100% listener supported and ad free. We don't do any ads. We don't do ads before the show, after the show, no interstitial ads. The only thing that keeps the lights on is our patrons. So you can support our show by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can buy some merch at our Etsy store. You can also become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 a month. We're on Cash App, Ko-fi, and you can do super thanks on YouTube. So tons of ways to support the show and get your name into the credits. Patrons get access to our ratings only spreadsheet. They get to join our live stream, do our album ranking episodes with us, and get access to our patrons only Discord server, where we talk a lot of stuff, not all Deep Purple related, but mostly. So speaking of patrons, coming in at the in memoriam tier, the wonderful late Jerry Kelly and family. At the $25 Uncommon Man tier, we have Ovis Nakvi. At the 15 Squid tier, we have Alan. At the $10 Good Doctor tier, we have Dr. Mike Catan. At the Turn It Up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Mickelstein, Will Porter, PhDPP, and Michael, don't call him Bradford Bagford. At the $10 Someone Came tier, we have Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, Better Call Saul Evans. And Peter from Illinois. And at the Deep Thoughts by John Matola tier, we have Fielding Fowler.
And now, Deep Thoughts by John Matola.
wait a minute. I lost it.
Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of Deep Purple Podcast. Speaking of rankings shows that our patrons are privy to, our Machine Head rankings episode will be coming up. This should be a big one. We need your rankings by May 5th. So if you're a patron, click the link, fill out the rankings sheet, and we will be off to the races, as they say. All right. So, actually, you know what? We tried this at the end of the show, but I don't think it worked as well at the end of the show.
I like it. I like it here.
Yeah. So, postcards from the edge of Connecticut. We've got one here. This one has been sitting around for a little bit. This one right here. Another motel. He's got a lot of motel.
Yeah.
So this is Stop in Comfort at the Styles Motel in Statesboro, Georgia. And this was probably while he was driving through Georgia. And it says in parentheses, near good restaurants. All right. US 301, shortest routes. air conditioned, electric heat, room TV, Jiffy coffee service, swimming pool, playground, S&H green stamps. I don't know what that means. It says, Nate drove near this place on our way to Florida. A fine place for you and John to collect some more green stamps for you. I make a habit of not reading these until the episode, so I didn't know he also read about the green stamps. So thank you. This is from December 28th. So came in a little bit late here. And then we got this massive, I would have to back up from the camera, this massive postcard.
Wow.
Of a one Phil Lynott. And this says, hey, Nate, now here's a bass player singer for you. A leftover card from my trip to the Irish Rock and Roll Museum in Dublin. Phil Lynott is highly regarded in Ireland. I also visited his statue on Harry Street, the Roback. And this one is only from a few days ago. So it's almost like he knew, because we're gonna be seeing some Phil and hearing some Phil in today's episode, obviously. So thank you guys for add these into my my postcard bin over here. All right. So John, here we are. John Sykes. Well, I feel like I have to stop this music.
Well, yeah, the segment's over.
Yes, we're here to talk about John Sykes. So what's your history with him? What do you over the years, what's been your connection to John Sykes?
I mean, I knew about him obviously because he was in Whitesnake, which is, Deep Purple connection. Just kind of was like, didn't really think much of it, right? Because he was in like the 87 version when I like first heard of him. And, for years, I didn't really think much of that album until, I rediscovered it. And I was just like, wow, like his sound, his playing was like not only monstrous, but I mean, it was very distinctive too. So I'm like, oh, I wonder what else he's done. And then found out that he was actually on the US version of Slide It In, which, wasn't as distinctive as, he was all over the 87 album. I kind of went further back, like over the years, occasionally to see like, oh, I wonder if he has any other early stuff that would be any good. So, I've heard, but I'm not super familiar with like the Tigers of Pantang, um, and the Thin Lizzy album that he was on, which that blew my mind because we would talk about that when we get to that, because I'm like, oh shit, he said he was on a Thin Lizzy album. Like what? No idea there was that connection. And then, I had heard about Blue Murder. I think that was like late 80s, early 90s. And a lot of that stuff where some of the metal or the hair metal guys were coming out of doing that stuff and forming their own bands. It was kind of like at the time, I was like, Blue Murder, who cares? And, right, because I like really, I mean, who cared, right? It's like you had like I'm trying to think of our last episode, with like Dio. We had Dio and like Vivian Campbell came out and he was just like, oh, is this new band the River Dogs? And it's like, yeah, okay.
You mean the episode that hasn't come out yet?
Yeah. Shit.
Spoilers. That's all right.
No, well, I cut it out. Cut that part out.
It's not like a state secret.
let me try this again. Yeah, and then there was also like Vivian Campbell coming out with oh, this is his new band, the River Dogs. And then you look at it and it's like, oh, he's wearing blue jeans and his hair is not teased up. It's like, all right, I know what you people are doing, whatever. So everybody was doing that. So I kind of ignored it. But then I kind of went back and I listened to some of the not the whole album. I honestly wasn't super interested in the whole album, but when I had heard some songs off of it, I was kind of amazed because I was like, wow, I didn't realize what a huge part of the Whitesnake 87 sound John Sykes was, because when I was listening to it, I'm like, this basically sounds like that Whitesnake album without Coverdale. You know what I mean? Like I could picture it being like, I could picture this being like the Lost Whitesnake album if they were going to keep going with the same formula. So I was just like, wow. So Yeah, over the years, I've been really kind of cherry picked, but very respectful of his stuff. And he's one of these guys that I can like definitely say at least once he hit that sweet spot in his career is like, you could hear he had a very distinctive playing style and tone
Mhm.
and sound. I think like the '87 album, The Blue Murder, like that style of music. You heard that tone. It's like yeah, that's definitely him. Like there was no mistaking it. And I mean, all of our favorite players have it. You know, uh, Richie all the way on down.
Yeah.
But and that's what makes him great. But that's one of the things I didn't really kind of know about him until I started listening, and I was picked up on. I was just like. Yeah, that stuff that I really liked, that tone that I really liked, he got in the White Snake '87 album. He used again, in like his early '90s stuff or his heavier stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's the stuff.
Hmm.
Slap it on there. But yeah. Anyways, not the biggest fan, but definitely have enjoyed a bunch of his stuff over the years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just have a lot of respect for him as a player. Just really,
Mm.
and it's great because he's kind of a triple threat. He's an amazing guitar player, a great
Hmm.
songwriter, and a really good singer too. So it's like,
Yeah,
um,
because I believe he did the vocals on the Blue Murder album too, and I'm like, wow,
yeah,
actually like a guitar player who can sing.
yeah, and he's lead singer caliber. He's not just a guitar player who happens to be able to sing. He's kind of like, and he sings like, Bernie Marsden's another great example.
Mm,
Who's a really really good singer, but he's more like it's weird that John Sykes didn't or wasn't as big as he could have been because I don't know what it's a tough business. You get in the wrong way, and I know him and Coverdale had a pretty big falling out. Um, but I know he was recruited for Whitesnake to kind of I think was it John Kalodner or something who was saying that he gives them like more of that American sound, even though he's not American. But he looked
mm.
like a really good looking guy, and he had that kind of style. And the people they're not going to hear him sing anyway, so they're not going to know he's not. They probably wouldn't know David Coverdale's not American because the accent's kind of lost in the singing. So, um,
Yeah, yeah, and I
he was,
mean,
as much as I love, Mickey Moody and Bernie Marsden, this is the look that was going to get you places in the mid '80s.
well, the
Um,
other thing too is like I wasn't really sure like early on, like when I was younger, who he was because when Whitesnake kind of had that revolving door in like
yeah,
the
yeah,
mid to late '80s, it was like he was this kind of like good looking blonde guy, and then all of a sudden he had Adrian Vandenberg, and he was
yeah.
also this big big hair blonde guy and everything, so I always
I
got
think
the
it's the
two of them
same guy. Yeah,
confused.
it's like
Yeah, I was always thought they were the same guy. I said, wait a minute, so who was in the band at what
right.
how are they different, like,
And
so
if
I
you
got
you
so
missed one
confused.
issue of Metal Edge, you totally missed that Vivian Campbell was even in. It's like just it happened
Exactly,
so quickly, that transition, and then at least Vandenberg
exactly.
stuck around for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, so it's like until um we kind of got online as a way of life where you could kind of look everything up and connect the dots with stuff like that. I really didn't know until I went back and I was like, okay, here's the White Snake timeline, and here's who was involved, and the difference between between this guy and this guy. So
Yep. Yeah, I mean, probably kind of same with me, although a little bit more. I probably know him a little bit more from Thin Lizzy, and I'm not like, and I don't want it to sound like I love Thin Lizzy, but I'm definitely not super well versed in their stuff. Like
hmm,
everything, I've had a few albums by them. Johnny the Fox was like is is my favorite. Understanding I probably haven't heard all of them, but I love that album, and I've I'm familiar with his kind of tenure and Thin Lizzy and some of that stuff, the Blue Murder stuff a little bit, and there's some other things that we'll kind of talk about that um, as we get into it that I'm probably a little bit more familiar with. But yeah, he was someone that was, for me at least, was always on the periphery, but never like someone that I was like diving into everything that he did. And because he had a pretty good resume and it put out a lot of really great music, but really a lot of it was in that like 80s to early 90s, probably 10 years. And then after that, he did his solo albums, he did stuff like that, and he also did kind of a revived Thin Lizzy. So we'll get into a little bit of all of that, but it all started, as I can cue this up here, it all started with this one track, as I load up the video here. And that track is, I'm still on the last episode here. Here we go. That track is something I cannot find. Oh, here we go. The band Street Fighter, and the song is called She's No Angel. So we'll cue that up right here. This is 1980. A little bit more.
Very, very raw.
Yes.
Demo
Not the
quality.
greatest production in the world. This comes from an album called New Electric Warriors, which was a compilation of new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah, I was going to say, this and the Tigers and Pantang were very new wave of British heavy metal. And I mean, this was like very early, very raw. This is before he had the sound, the very kind of polished sound that he had in Whitesnake.
Yep.
Which you almost have to think about. When I was thinking about going back and listening to his earlier stuff, it's kind of like how it was with Whitesnake. It's like you only knew that polished version, and you're like, oh, there's this whole backstory that doesn't even sound like, how everybody knew this band. And it's the same with him as a guitar player. It's like he was very, very raw, very different, very different style of music that he was playing like early on.
So I don't think he was even officially in this band. They just brought him in for leads. They don't have a ton of releases.
Well,
very very raw, very new wave of British heavy metal. That bass drum really, though, is taking over the mix.
yeah.
Yes.
The fake ending.
Pretty awesome. I think with some more polished production, it would be pretty awesome, but it's pretty rough. But the playing isn't.
No, that's kind of why I like stuff like this. When you listen to it, you can kind of go back in your mind to 1980. Just imagine them in a room, just playing, no production values, just one mic set up, just them jamming out. And I mean, that's music in its purest form right there.
We'll run the whole gamut from this to his solo stuff, and obviously the Whitesnake stuff he was on, which was super produced. It's like you know what the formula is when you're hearing this. Like, oh, the harmony guitar is going to come in on the next run.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he missed one of the notes there. Left channel guitarist, whoever that guy was. I'm assuming it wasn't John Sykes. Maybe it's Lee Fenton. Sorry to call you out, Lee. You want to do it again? Nope. We don't have enough prepaid studio time. We gotta get this done.
Sorry.
Stick this in your boot.
That's one way to say it.
That's not what I thought it was going to end with. Oh, it just became more clear. I wonder if this is the other guitarist. It didn't seem quite as well put together, but...
There's a lot of soloing, a lot of fills in here.
Yeah. I like the guitar fills like that. It's nice. It's funny because like the whole thing to me with like the new wave of British heavy metal was that it didn't rely so much on the standard kind of it didn't rely so much on the standard kind of like blues background that previous metal bands like
Right.
Sabbath and Zeppelin and Purple and Heap and all those bands would kind of had that blues background, where there was the new wave of heavy metal was very much like it got into like more of the neoclassical stuff like this that wasn't so blues based. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that is very bluesy is those, you know, sing and then do a little guitar. It's almost like the, you know, BB Kings of the world or whatever, where they would sing and be the lead guitar. So when they're not singing, they're giving you a little tasty lick.
Yeah.
This is kind of following that formula, which I really like. And I don't think you hear enough of that anymore. Like
you
guitar fills versus solos.
Yeah.
You don't even really hear a lot of guitar solos anymore. But anyway, that is Street Fighter. Not much out there about the band. They were formed in 1978. They were on this compilation, and I don't think they had much else released. Merv Goldsworthy was the bass player. Went on with Diamond Head and Samson. And then the rest of the bands I have not heard of, except Dave Senzek was also a guitar player that replaced the one that we just heard. He went on to record with Paul Di'Anno in the 90s. So staying in those circles. All right, now we're on to Tigers of Pantang, which is kind of a crazy name for a band. You right away had some tracks you wanted to listen to from them. What's your history with them?
I mean, I've heard of them before, because I knew about the new wave of British heavy metal, and they were always mentioned, but I didn't really get to hear them until we could start streaming music. And I was able to check them out, and I mean, I think that's one of the big reasons I wasn't huge into that scene is because of the absence of blues. Which really at the end of the day, that's what I like to listen to most, is the blues based rock. And not there's anything wrong with this stuff, but it's like, even to me, like what we just heard, that sounded like
wrong with that.
Not there's anything wrong with that, but it sounded, just like Iron Maiden, early Def Leppard, Diamond Head, like all that kind of stuff that you think of. Samson, which, and I had heard some of that stuff or even touched on it if I'd known that, like, oh, Samson was Bruce Dickinson's first band. So let's hear. And I got into Iron Maiden for a little while because I was like, oh, okay, this stuff is pretty good. But I never really went back to it because it wasn't where my roots were, my heart.
Mhm.
Um, but but yeah, I mean, there were still some good, um, there were still some good songs. Like, I mean, I'm sucker for like a good riff, um, so yeah, were you asking me about like the song or like the band?
Yeah. So what made you? So I had from the album Spellbound. A lot of
Yeah.
people suggested Hellhound.
Hmm.
Hellhound from Spellbound.
Devil Dog, the Hound of Hell, Tuesday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain, right after the paper chase.
But what is but you have a different choice for this one.
Gangland.
Gangland. All right, let's take a
Yeah.
listen. Oh yay! I love that.
Well, there's that
Help me, protect me, get me out of this place. No chance, no hope in a rat.
I mean, it's a great riff. It has that kind of
This is very early Motley Crue.
Motley
Yeah.
Crue live wire riff.
Yep.
But you can't cope with anything. Oh yeah.
And our friend Scott, of course, requested Live Wire on MTV Live with Adam Curry back in the day.
Must get up when you pull back down.
I like that story.
If you mess around with fire,
I have it. I uploaded it to YouTube years ago. It's got to still be there. Oh, Scott's coming to visit.
Oh, great.
So if you want to do a certain album on your birthday, maybe he would do it in person
All right.
if you're available on your birthday.
Let's discuss.
Yeah, we'll discuss. We'll discuss in our post-show meeting.
no easy come, easy go. Not too fast, not too slow.
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of early Crew, which I really like. I like I mean, I love the first album. I didn't get into too much of the other stuff. Whew.
Yeah.
I love those pick rakes in between all the chords.
See, this is a great representation of early Sykes because you can hear a little bit of his kind of signature style in there, but it's like he hasn't found like his tone or anything yet. He's still really raw around this time.
Yeah, he's not quite as fluid as he would end up getting just because he hasn't probably had the practice yet, but I mean, still 10 times better than anything I could do. And still an
Yep.
amazing player, but it's just amazing some of these players just getting the opportunity to record a ton and then also tour a ton. Their chops just advance so rapidly from one album to the next. It's like a different player. I mean, look at Richie.
Yeah.
No easy come, easy go. Not too fast, not too slow. Must get up when you pull back down. If you mess around with fire, you're gonna get yourself burned.
Yeah.
That's what I'm all about right there.
Killer trade. I see why you picked it.
Yeah. Like, really high energy. Not only like a cool, just kind of early 80s song, but like I said, I think good representation of what Sykes was doing back then, which had like nothing to do what he was doing like several years later.
Yeah.
So shows like the start of a good like evolution.
When they said in the lyrics, must get up, but you get pulled back down, the way he's like, must get up. I thought he was saying muskrat love. Muskrat love. I was like, that's a weird reference to be making on a song like this, but I looked up the lyrics.
Nah, I
No.
wouldn't have thought.
Misheard lyrics. I'm probably the only person in history of the world to have thought that. So, okay. So that is one of the tracks from Tigers of Panzang. We got some others. I think, well, there's two others that got a lot of play. One of them is from the album The Cage, Danger in Paradise.
Mhm.
So he was, I guess, by the time this album came out, probably, I would assume, out of the band. But he played on two tracks on this album. One was Danger in Paradise, played on the whole thing. And then the other one was they did a cover of Love Potion No. 9. And he played the solo on that. And I do have what looks like it's probably a pretty awful video for that song. So what do you think? Should we listen to both? One? What do you think?
I mean, in the interest of time, we probably don't want to do too many from one band, right? Especially if it wasn't in it that long. But
So are we into Danger in Paradise, or do we want to see a really cheesy video for a remake of Love Potion No. 9?
what would be more compelling podcasting, Nate?
I think it's got to be Love Potion No. 9.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
All right, let's go here. I'll find it here. Love Potion No. 9. I just caught a couple seconds of it when I got it, so it looked pretty bad. So let's take a look.
I took my troubles down a Madam Ruth. You know that gypsy with the gold tattoo. She's got a star, a 30 bottom line. Sunny little bottles of Love Potion No. 9.
Well, that's John Sykes though in the video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told her that I was a flop with chicks. I've been that way
So far, I gotta say this is musically way better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, me too.
What you need, my boy, is Love Potion No. 9.
He's got like a bottle
Ugh.
that has Love Potion No. 9 shabbily written on it, and that's this girl with
No teeth or broken teeth.
teeth, but they're all like different colors.
I held my nose, closed my eyes. I took a drink.
Yeah, there's John Sykes wearing he's worn that shirt before, his weird Rear Admiral shirt.
I didn't know if it was day or night. I started kissing everything in sight. But when I kissed the cat down the dirty bottom line, it broke
Lead singer kind of looks like early Coverdale,
Yeah, I see that.
like pre-blonde
That's not a
Coverdale.
cop, that's a meter maid. Isn't it? I don't know, maybe it's different in their country. That looks like a meter maid to me.
Love potion, love potion, love potion number 9.
Quick and to the point, they didn't belabor it.
Jesus.
I don't know what's up with that chick
Oof.
with the
Yeah, with the that was I have to admit that was I was actually better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, musically it was great. I mean, because I feel like doing a cover of a song like that can be really lame, but I think
Yeah.
they did it really well. And they didn't like
Very good.
extend it into a 4-minute song. 2
Yeah.
minutes and 2 seconds. Boom, you get the idea, on to the next thing. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. I think that was really good, actually.
Yeah. And the
Okay.
video was entertaining, yeah.
So after he left Tigers of Panzang, he auditioned for Ozzy's band, which
That would have been
is
something.
part of Ozzy lore. Yeah. Obviously, this would have been after Randy passed away. Doesn't get that many joins John Sloman in Badlands. Is that the Badlands? Is that a different
I don't think
Badlands?
so. No, that one didn't. No, Badlands wasn't until 1988, 89.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's because after that. So, learning that there's a lot of these bands, like recently came up. We did the Fandango episode, and if you go to the Fandango official Spotify page, it's got 3 of their 4 albums, but it doesn't have Last Kiss that we covered. You have to go to some other band named Fandango, which their albums are all from like 2017, 2018, but they have this random album from 1980 that happens to have Jolyn Turner on it. It's like Spotify is a mess with that sort of stuff. It's so bad. So you never really know. In fact, in looking at the show, I found this thing. It was like John Sykes piano music. And I was like, oh my God, he did an album of piano music? That's so cool. And I was like, oh, it's from the 50s. It's like, it's like there was another guy, a pianist named John Sykes. I was like, oh, I was like, wow, we're going to be breaking news. Nobody knows about this, that he did a piano album. I thought maybe he could have. Like some people do that.
Oh, sure. But
like
the breaking
Mingus
news,
did a
he
great
didn't.
piano album, but it wasn't John Sykes.
No.
Not this John Sykes. Okay, so he does that, and then of course he ends up joining Thin Lizzy. And the first thing that I'm going to play from that is from the show Gas Tank, which tons of our UK listeners have told us about over the years, and there's much more in Gas Tank we can cover, even though they don't have a ton of episodes. I think they had like 8 or 10 episodes, which for a British show is like, that's like an American show going 300 episodes. It's amazing. But it was hosted by Tony Ashton and Rick Wakeman, and Ian Pace is in an episode. They got a bunch of like cool little gems, but they did these cool musical things. So this one is from Gas Tank. It's going to be Phil Lynott and John Sykes. Here we go. That's not John Sykes.
No shit.
This song is called The Man's a Fool, featuring John Sykes and Rick Wakeman.
Necessary, like standing in the line, like moving at the same time. Do you think that's up for us? Do you think that we can trust? Can we save the world in time? The man's a fool. The man's a crazy fool. The man's a fool. The man is crazy. Now do we dare go on?
Rick Wakeman looks so young. He's so big. He's so tall.
So, who's this leather daddy over here playing piano or whatever?
Is it Ashton? Yeah, he looks like the yeah, it's Tony Ashton. He looks like the biker from the Village People.
I was gonna say he's dressed up like fucking Rob Halford or something.
Sykes.
See, this is more the tone that he was starting to develop.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a really. That's mostly the tone that he used on the Whitesnake album.
Yeah.
Very thick sounding lead tone. Oh, you know that's Tony Ashton diddling around over there.
You know, they're just, him and Rick Wakeman are just like, oh, whatever, let's go play. Because they hosted the show and then like, yeah, we'll go play with you. Bing, 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 bong. Whatever you guys are doing.
All right, John.
Another great camera work. Oh, there we go. Wait, Tony Ashton's right next to Rick Wakeman now. How many keyboards are there? He's like wandering around.
As only Tony Ashton could.
I mean, how great is this? Where else do you get to see John Sykes and Rick Wakeman trading off solos?
Here, baby, on Gas Pump.
Gas pump.
What is it called?
Gas tank.
Yeah, Gas Tank.
I like how Tony Ashton has like a little sheriff's badge on.
I noticed that. Also, is Tony Ashton even playing anything, or is he just dancing at this point?
Yeah, I think he's just dancing.
Please subscribe and see some of the silly things I get up to.
Okay, so that's I'll have the link to that in the show notes. It's on the YouTube page, but
Well, that was fantastic.
all those gas tank episodes are really cool. I've only seen a few of them. I've probably seen 50% of them, but there's one like there's Ian Pace is in at least one of them, and I'm drawing a blank now, of course, but there's like tons of like really amazing musical things like that. So it's really cool. Okay, so yeah, and then we got a couple other Thin Lizzy selections by you. Which one did you want to do first? Which one's most important?
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they're both really good, but I would have to say, I have to say Cold Sweat.
Cold Sweat? All right.
Yeah.
So this is from the album Thunder and Lightning. We can do both. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, because Thunder and Lightning is good as well.
It's our show. We can do whatever the hell that we want. Haha, nice. I just love Phil Lynott. The way he sings is so distinctive.
Well, I mean, I never knew that like Thin Lizzy was like ever this heavy. So the first time I heard this, I'm like, yeah, fuck, the boys are back in town like this right here. You know, it was like. So when I discovered this album, I probably listened to it a whole bunch at first, but you know, there are a couple of tracks on it that are standout that I like. This is one of them.
And for our overseas viewers, just speaking of our age growing up in the States, there's just a few Thin Lizzy songs that you hear on the radio. Well, two that maybe I'm wrong, but really only Jailbreak and Boys Are Back in Town, right?
Yeah. And I
on
mean, there's
classic
nothing,
rock radio, and you don't hear anything else.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with those songs, but I mean, this just blows them away.
Wow. Turns into Van Halen all of a sudden.
And I mean, when I heard this too, like I said, I've only heard like Phil Lynott doing this kind of like 70s rock, or more like, you know, nothing like, I mean, like heavy metal like this. So I'm just like, damn, he was like a good metal vocalist.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, his style fit in great with this type of music.
And this was their last album, their last studio album, you know?
Yeah, so I think before he passed away, yeah.
I think he did some solo stuff before that, because he passed away, I think, in 86. And this came out in 83.
Okay.
Damn.
I mean, admittedly, not the, I'm not a Thin Lizzy-ophile, so I,
well, let's just do
don't
Thunder
listen
and
to me.
Lightning while we're at it.
Don't listen to me.
Thin Lizzy-ophile. It's a band that definitely had a lot of change. If you listen to their first album, I don't even know what to make of their first album. And then, you know, they kind of developed that style, and then they went through all these different phases, and they had Gary Moore, they had Sykes, and, you know, just some really great stuff, but always evolving. I love that. God damn!
I mean, this sounds like he sounds like he could be like singing a Motorhead song. He's almost got a Lemmy type thing going on.
Yeah, very gravelly on the. Yeah, he does sound like Lemmy on this.
So, you know, kind of that like early 80s punk thing that Motorhead was always into. So that's, you know, that's what this song has a little bit of.
It's like Richie at the beginning of Mistreated.
Yep. And there's our Deep Purple connection, folks.
God damn!
Yeah, I love that he
isolated
said
vocal.
goddamn. I don't know what this is.
I mean, it's definitely that is Darren Wharton on the synth. If that's even a synth.
Here's
That
Sykes
those
doing
are-
like that pinch harmonics over in the corner,
Oh yeah, yeah.
or in the left channel.
Yeah, that synth solo made some of those Ian Gillan solos seem normal by comparison. Jesus. So we're doing this in chronological order. You can hear the progression of his playing. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, I mean he ripped, he let loose. And I mean, he definitely like kicked some ass in Whitesnake, but I don't think he didn't play with the same kind of abandon that he did on these albums. Like this was raw, like Whitesnake was polished, so he still brought it, but it was different.
Yeah, it was more composed, more deliberate what they were trying to do. That's a way to start an album.
Hell yeah.
That's an onslaught.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
I mean, it doesn't stop for like a minute.
No, it doesn't let you breathe.
You're like, after you're done.
I'm going to need a breather to thank our next round of patrons because there's just too many of them.
Yeah, let's do it. Oof. Take a rest here. Stretch out those
them if you got them. Okay, so our core level patrons at the $6.99 new nice price tier, we have Spike the Rock Cat and Sugar Tea. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith,
Getting support from the patron Arthur Smith.
Anton Glaving,
Pain in the glaving.
and Charles Meadows. At the $6.65 almost evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Richie Sucksmith. At the 70 Norwegian kroner tier, we have Kai Runa, yes, I'm Norwegian, Olsen.
It's a great life in the Norwegian.
At the $5.99 the nice price tier, Robert Smith and Carl Hellberg. At the 60 kroner Scandinavian Nights tier, we have DJ Newt Morton Johansson.
It's a great life in the Norwegian.
At the $5 moneylender tier, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Elman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger, Slepikov, Kev Roberts, Percival Frequency, Scott Zerns, Cynthia Doobie, Raf Calf,
My Czechoslovakian is not so good.
Coyote Bongwater, John Maselli,
But we're adults now, right? So we'll just relax. We'll have some fun. Not too much fun.
Sarah Sanders,
No, Kelly Clarkson.
Jelly Bean, Evan Robison, Richard Fusey, and Purple Swede.
Swede?
Watched the Grumpy Old Men the other night. Did I tell you?
No.
I watched it with one of my boys.
And
Oh, fantastic! The movie just gets better with every viewing. But
oh yeah,
my son was like, "These guys are perverts." I'm like, "Hey, Aunt Margaret doesn't move in next door for you to not be ogling her. I mean, it's just impossible. She's running outside in the snow, doing snow angels in her underwear and everything. It's like, come on."
Still, one of my favorite moments for that movie is when when they're sitting there looking at her move in and they go, Jesus, and then all of a sudden they just put a big cut for a big portrait of Jesus coming out of the moving truck. I always thought that was brilliant. It's like now it's what's coming, but when I first saw that movie, I was like dying. I'm like, oh, that's perfect.
It's a great. My favorite is the closing credits with Burgess Meredith ad-libbing all those.
Yeah.
He's like, he's gonna bury his boner. That one's not even clever. He does all these clever ones and he's like, he's gonna bury his boner. All right. But back on to some great John Sykes playing. So so now we get to Whitesnake. We've heard it all before. We've done all the Whitesnake stuff. So we do have a much lauded live. Oh, I'm still sharing that album cover. Okay. A live performance, Crying in the Rain, Rock in Rio. This would have been his last performance with the band. Him and Cozy were out after this. So here we go. Video, Crying in the Rain. I don't think it's the greatest quality video, but it's the one that I got.
Right, rock and roll, quite right.
Quite right.
Listen, we got I don't know whether Saints and Sinners released here, but we've got a song for you from it. Santos et Pecadores. Oh, fucking, I don't know. Okay, here's a song for you. A song that features John Sykes on guitar.
Oh, they know John Sykes.
They heard of him.
Yeah.
While the rest of us look meekly on. It's a song called Crying in the Rain. Hope you like it.
This is 1985.
Look at Coverdale.
I'm broken bones when he's burning with a fever.
Look how many people are there. It's crazy.
Do we still have John Lord over here, or? Oh no, 85. He was superb.
Yeah.
My bad. To the Cozy, he's hitting hard, baby.
Always does. It was almost 40 years ago to the day. This was recorded January 19th, 1985.
Wow.
So it's Richard Bailey on keyboards. A rare 5-piece version of Whitesnake.
Wow.
Coverdale's pissed. He's pointing to the sound man like, you can't hear something.
Keep coming back for more. I know where I'm going. There's no hope.
The double entendre.
I can't seem to separate the good times from the bad. The sun is shining. Mama, it's still raining in my heart, No one understands the heartache. No one feels the pain. No one ever sees the tears when you cry in the rain. 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 Baby.
Oh, is everybody going to look meekly on?
Yeah. Let's say Neil Murray seems to have come more front and center than Sykes did.
A little bit of an interpretation than Bernie.
Finger tapping thrown in there for good measure. Posey's not slowing down back there either.
Nope. Yeah, I don't know if it's me or maybe it's not coming to mind, but I don't feel like I see a lot of guitar players that play Les Paul or Les Paul style guitars that do finger tapping that much.
Yeah, for my...
I mean, they're usually like Strats or Strat style guitars.
Yeah.
I mean, unless I'm, or like, the BC Rich and those type of guitars, but I mean, I don't know, maybe there's somebody I'm not thinking of.
I mean, listen to that. Randy Rhoads didn't do a ton of tapping, but he did some.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I don't know, from my very limited experience, I've almost always played a Strat.
Yeah.
Or I would get a Telecaster, a Strat. I've played very few Les Pauls or even Les Paul style guitars. It just doesn't seem as accessible for tapping.
Yeah.
There's something about the action on it. The only one I played, it was actually Kirk Hammett's Les Paul that I played on one of the albums we recorded. Because the guy who owned the studio was one of Kirk Hammett's roadies, and Kirk Hammett gave it to him. And I was like, it was me and my buddy also played guitar in the band, so he played a Strat, and we wanted to kind of have a differentiation in the tones of the guitars, so that they weren't canceling each other out. So I was like, I'll play a Les Paul on this, and I can say I played Kirk Hammett's Les Paul.
Nice.
Probably not as well as he did, but.
Oof.
This is a very revved up version of the song, just like...
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Really hard hitting.
I mean, John Sykes, he had such great technique. I mean, everything from like he was playing the fast stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, and tapping, but I mean, it's like, he was hitting those high notes, his vibrato was like, super good. Because, I mean, he didn't have like a whammy bar to grab onto, and not on that kind of guitar.
See, for me, that tapping and sweep arpeggios and doodly-doodlies and all that, it doesn't do anything for me if it's prolonged. And he has like the perfect mix of just doing that for a little bit and then just doing something super melodic and holding out the notes, and there's so much more emotion to it, so that when he does do that stuff, it's impressive versus just, you've been shredding for 10 minutes now. Speaking of which, here we go. No, but this is the guitar solo, so that's different. This is what I'm talking about. Now, all of a sudden, he's David Gilmour. After doing Eddie Van Halen for a minute, it's... He's like, what's up? What's up? You want to fight? He looks like he's like, you want to fight? You want to start some static? It's like Dave Mustaine right there.
But yeah, you're right. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. Is he does this very melodic, emotional type of solo where he's bending notes, doing volume swing. Right after doing all that really fast tapping.
He's bending the note up above the whatever the hell you call it. But I mean, his look is just, I mean, he's obviously supremely talented as a guitar player, but it does not help that, or it does not hurt rather, that he is fantastically good looking and just like cool as shit. Like he just looks so cool doing this.
Oh yeah.
But see how far those strings are up above the frets?
Yeah.
That looks just hard to play.
Yeah, I thought that I would like a Les Paul, but I went in after years of playing like Ibanez.
Yeah.
Sat down with a Les Paul like in a music store once, and I was like, nope.
Yeah, and when I played it on that album we recorded, I don't think I did any soloing. I think it was all rhythm, and for that it was good, and it has a nice meaty tone to it. But
that's about it for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure when we were in the studio, I was noodling around in it between takes, but I don't really remember it very well. I've always wanted to get one for the studio, just to have it around and get a different tones that if I need it. Not that I ever record anything anyway. But. Man, it's like fingers are barely moving. He's really. So he's sweating his balls off. Well, I'm sure January in Brazil's got to be pretty, pretty warm.
Sykes on guitar, Rio.
I said, goddamn.
Obrigado. Thank you.
But yeah, that's quite a performance, man. That would have been a show to be at.
I'll say.
Right.
Now that lends an additional level to Whitesnake that the original guys, as good as they are, they do not play like that.
Nope. It's all totally different. It's just part of the evolution. All right. Yep. So that's Crying in the Rain. So we got a few more as we round up. So after this, he leaves. He goes to Blue Murder. So I've got actually got another video for you. Here's a video for you. And this song is called We All Fall Down. So let's take a listen / watch.
Now this was his band.
Yes. So he's on guitar.
He formed this band, right?
Guitar and vocals, yep. this is off the album Nothing But Trouble. This came out in 93.
Ah.
So we're well into grunge territory now. So before this, Tony Franklin and Carmen, is he a piece? Carmine Appice.
Yep. They were in the first one with them,
yeah,
right?
They left the group, and then he put together this lineup, which has got Marco Mendoza, Tommy Osteen, and Nick Green on keyboard. It was recorded at Sykes' home studio. But it doesn't matter. At this point, how good this band was, 1993.
Forget it.
It's a tough sell. I like that he's singing into an SM57 mic, not the greatest vocal mic in the world.
Shit.
Shaking on the street, your little sister's starving, and there ain't no food to eat. She's looking for the dealer, she's trying to find some crack.
Yeah, I've definitely heard this song before too.
You've heard the song?
Yeah, it's very, very familiar to me. I mean, I haven't heard it
new for me.
But I mean, even like, just listen to. I mean, this guy knows how to play, and he knows how to record like his guitar too. You know what I mean? Like that solo was like beautifully produced.
Oh, yeah. And it looks like not only effortless, but like he's not even thinking about it. And maybe I've got it all wrong. Maybe he labored over structuring that solo for a week in the studio, exactly how he wanted it. But to me, it has the mark of someone who's just like, yep, this is just what I do. And on to the next thing.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like, if you listen to this, can you hear like Coverdale singing this?
Oh, yeah. They had stayed together. It's a shame they didn't, because they really worked well together, and it was so brief. Very successful, but very brief. It's funny though. He's wearing the flannel. He's got like even Megadeth back then wore the flannel open with the t-shirt under. You know, you couldn't avoid it.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, there was a difference between that and the music that was popular at the time was that this was good.
I like, you better look out. Can't beat that.
Yeah, no, that was some good shit.
That was great. So now I kind of went back and forth on this one. I listened to kind of some selections off of this album. We're into his solo career. And this album is called Loveland. I think it's his second solo album. Loveland. I don't know. I'm going to say Loveland.
Blindman.
Blindman. All right, this one is called Everything I Need. I believe this is the opening track. Let me just see.
It's more than just a feeling deep within my soul.
Yeah, this is the opener. Kind of reminds me of almost a Little Wing feeling at the beginning.
And my heart's been hurt before. I don't want to lose you when you're all I really need. I've been waiting all my life for love to rescue me. I have my share of losing.
Pretty good.
On the lonely side of life.
I actually didn't know that he did any solo albums later on. I mean, I guess I could have figured that he did. I mean, a guitar player of his caliber couldn't do no solo albums.
Yeah, he did 3 solo albums and then like a compilation album that featured like a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The compilation features song "Don't Hurt Me This Way," which he wrote with Phil Lynott, which was originally from 1982, which is also on this album. I'm assuming it's the same version. Like those harmonies he's doing. They said this record was originally pitched to Sykes by Mercury Records' Japanese branch as a 7-track extended play of ballads. Eventually, Sykes decided to expand the project to a full-length album. Seven songs is kind of a long EP.
Yeah. You know, this is like really, this is a blues solo.
Oh, yeah. So we've done some like heavy metal with blues sensibilities to start it off, and as we start to wind down, he's going full-on blues.
But he's still really maintaining a lot of that sound and that style that he kind of developed.
Yep. Great album. Got like a mellow feel to it from the few songs I've heard from it. I would like to really give the whole thing a better listen because it's really great stuff.
Yeah, I could get into this. Yeah.
Okay. So then, switching gears a little bit, we of course have him performing with none other than HTP, Hughes Turner Project. That's right. So this is going to be John
direct
Sykes.
Deep Purple connection.
Yes, very direct because it's got 2 Deep Purple singers on it. So this is Glenn Hughes, Jolyn Turner. This song was written by Hughes, Marsh, and Sykes. This is the only song he performed on the album. It's called Heaven's Missing an Angel. I was hoping it was a cover, but Heaven. I could hear Hughesy doing that one. Must be missing an angel. Sounds like a Mellotron or something.
Yeah, I wonder who that is.
It's got to be Sykes. Ooh, that bass.
I know there's a place I see. Your spirit keeps haunting me. And I never worry, 'cause I do believe you will find.
So Hughes did post about John Sykes passing. There's quite a few quotes, and I'll put them in the show notes. But a couple days ago when he passed away, Hughes writes, if I can find it.
Why can it be when all hope is gone? Then you turn.
He actually wrote, "Heaven's missing an angel. There are no words to describe how I feel about John's guitar playing. He was absolutely a phenomenon." Here's a song that we wrote together called Heaven's Missing an Angel. What an amazing solo on this song, and honored to have John join me on vocals. R.I.P. dear one, the angel is now in heaven. Love you.
Is JLT on this?
He should be. I don't know if he sat this one out, but
I'm high on a silver cloud. I see your face in the crowd, and I know that it's only a matter of time. Your love will come to me. Your love will come to me.
this track's hot as shit. I don't care who knows it.
Kind of channeling Is This Love solo.
Drastic tone switch right here. That was awesome. Sounded like somebody screaming. Gotta be like a Mellotron or something. Vince DiCola on I'll be damned.
What?
The guy playing keyboards right here?
Yeah.
One of the first to exploit the Fairlight CMI and Synclavier 2's computer sequencing capabilities. Check out these movies he scored. 3 movies that he scored. What's that?
Transformers.
Okay. Did you look it up or you knew?
No, did you see me look it up?
I don't know if I would see it.
No,
but there's 2 more.
I recognized his name. Yeah.
Staying Alive.
Yep, Staying Alive. Yeah.
Rocky 4.
Rocky 4. I didn't know.
It's a pretty impressive.
But yeah, I recognized his because his name was all over the Transformers soundtrack, and I have I have a very good friend that loves that soundtrack, so I was had to hear it every time I go to his house.
Which one was it? The Transformers? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm assuming by a friend, you mean a friend in the 80s, not like recently?
I mean, we're still friends. We're still friends, but no.
It feels funny if you were over his house in like 2022 and he's like, oh, just excuse me, I just gotta go put this album on.
Well, you know, I wouldn't put it past them.
You got Weird Al on that sound. I love the soundtrack. The only requirement was that you were on their damn Scotty Brothers label and you got on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Also, interestingly enough, Orson Welles' final movie.
Yeah, which is
always cracked me up.
Yeah, I know. When I found that out, I'm just like, wow, what a resounding thud to his career, huh?
I know, right?
Citizen Kane and Transformers the movie. All right. That's kind of like Bela Lugosi. His last movie was Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Poor bastard.
Oh, hey, he needed the cash.
Yeah, that song's hot as shit.
No, it was good stuff. JLT was probably, he had to have been buried in the background for this one.
No, either that or he was just he went to the, I don't know, they sent him to the store to get something. It could be like on that album. I've heard it a few times, but I'm sure there's songs where it's like more JLT focused and more Hughes focused and all that.
Yeah,
so.
they probably share vocals on.
Yeah.
So I think I've heard a couple of songs off maybe the first one. I remember there was a they kind of did the dueling. They shared verses and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. Cool. It's a really good album actually.
But I mean, I think it would get tiring if like every song were like that.
Yeah, where they switched off verses for everything.
You get a verse, and then I get a verse, and then you went, oh, yeah, we have to have equal verses,
One of them starts singing like, hey, I'm singing this one. You had more. They're like little kids. You had more lines than I did. It's not fair.
Hey, you guys share, or I'm turning this studio around. I swear to God.
All right, so to wrap it up, we got one more, and this is so after this, Hughes. After this, Sykes kind of reforms Thin Lizzy, and he goes out and he's the front man for Thin Lizzy. He's the guitarist and the singer for Thin Lizzy for a while, and this is a live performance of Sykes singing a song we mentioned earlier that everybody knows. This one is called Jailbreak. Here we go. And this is from Texas in 2004. Pretty good Phil Lynott impression.
Yeah. Look at this dude. He was like in his friggin' mid-40s at the time. He still looks great.
Looks awesome. He was in his mid-40s at the time. You mean younger than us?
By a little bit.
Do you consider mid-40s anything from 41 to 49? Early 40s is 40, mid is 41 to 49, and then you're in your 50s. That's how it works. So I've had a hard time taking this song seriously ever since years ago, driving around with our buddy Paul. And this song came on the radio, and he's like, huh, it's gonna be a jailbreak somewhere in the town, huh? He's like, I think I have a pretty good idea where it might be. Now every time I hear the song, I laugh and think of that.
The jail?
Yeah, I mean, he makes it seem so mysterious. It's somewhere. It could be anywhere in the town.
Maybe at the local prison.
Yeah, I would check there first.
And I'm gonna find myself here, though. Tonight there's gonna be trouble.
That's a very 2004 sounding kick drum. The cops are just mystified. They're driving all around town. Where is this jailbreak?
Where could it be?
Form a search party. We're not gonna stop until we find the jailbreak.
Where is it? At the mall?
Ooh. Camera effect. So Scott Gorham and Brian Downey were in the band, and Darren Wharton at this point, so it's kind of picking up where they left off, except without Phil.
Okay. I could forgive that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like... It's tough, because I think if you ask anybody that even barely knows Thin Lizzy, they think of Phil Lynott, but yeah, it's pretty close to where they left off.
I don't know if, like, going out as, like, the proper Thin Lizzy was the right move.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
You know what I mean? Like,
you know, who took over after Brian Downey left, right?
No.
Tommy Aldridge.
Ah, yeah. Old cement wrists.
Yeah, it's Rich's favorite. And then Brian Downey came back, though, for a little bit, anyway.
I'm just saying that's like, you know, you could have done like how Dio's band did, right? The Dio Disciples, right?
Yeah,
so it's like all the former members of like one of the last versions of his band with a different singer or singers, and they could have done like, you know, Fat Lizzy featuring John Sykes or something, you know.
Skinny Lizzy.
But you know what I mean.
Svelte Lizzy. All right, so before we wrap it up, of course, thank our next round of patrons, and that would be the foundation level patrons coming in at the £3.50 Deep Purple New York tier. We have Lord Longford. At the £3 Aromatic Fee tier, we have Simon Ford and Richard Brees. At the at the 393 pence tier.
Blackmore tights.
At the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, Stephen Sharp and Duncan Leask.
Smoke on the water while you're in the sky.
The $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, Peter Gardeau. Ian DeRosier. Mark Roback. Stuart McCord.
Flight of the Red Bat Balloon. Right!
Ivan Fjellbu.
It's a great life if you don't weekend. It's a
Runar Simonsen.
It's a great life if you don't weekend. It's a
Ruinous Inadequacies. Corey Morissette from And the Podcast Will Rock. So interestingly, in the indie music podcast charts in the top 100, we were number 12 and 2 last week, and 2 Corey Morissette podcasts we were sandwiched by them. And number 8 was And the Podcast Will Rock, and number 14 was the Ultimate Catalog Clash. So we were in a Corey Morissette sandwich. Heyo. Thank you, Corey.
Oh, hey, well, you know. Sorry, I went, oh, and I was sorry.
Sounded like some birds chattering. And then we, of course, have I'm sorry, I'm off the rails with that one.
Yeah, that one's pretty wild.
I'm gonna go with it until it seems normal. Few dozen episodes. Weston Supermare Pilgrim, Joe Dopefish Sigler, Adam Cork and Tim Wood at the $1.71 I Want My Own tier.
Rich, Youngly, Shaylo.
I know who Rich is. Rich is my favorite.
At the 10 Cold Hard Danish Kroner tier, we have Karsten Lau.
Cold Hard Danish Kroner.
And at the $1 made up name tier, we have the Hellbound. There we go. Hellbound. Sorry. I accidentally turned on the metronome.
I thought that was part of the thing.
No, that was a mistake. I don't know how it happened. It's never happened in 301 episodes. Yeah, there's a built-in metronome in this, so if you want to keep time while you're playing and recording, but obviously that's not an issue for a podcast. Until now, maybe I should just leave it on. No. Okay.
And you could be like, bam, boom, boom, and coming in at the $3.
Yeah, that would really be fun to listen to. At the Hellbound, Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 Fanatic, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel, Steve Down to Earth Kohler, Swapper the Electric Alchemist, Anders Engstrom, ICDC, Durple Purple, David Haddam, Graham Bonnet's Disco Pants and Haircuts.
I said, Graham, our audience expects you to be a bit more dirty.
Disco Pants and Haircuts, yeah.
I'm just going to put my guitar across his head.
Eddie Lyon.
Homosexual.
And Sick Tone.
Where is she? Where is she? She's just about to close up the library.
So thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of our show. Well, there you have it, John. John Sykes.
Well,
from John Sykes to John Matola.
And John Matola will finish it out. So I wanted to look up, because we kind of went from the beginning, to the end here, and we, didn't really do like a biography or anything on John Sykes, but I looked something up, to see, he hadn't done anything in quite a while. And he had been preparing to release a new solo album titled Psyops, which apparently was highly anticipated, as it would have been his first solo release in many years. In 2019, Sykes was aiming to release the album later that year. However, it faced multiple delays. And in 2020, he released a music video for the single Out Alive, indicating the project was still active. So that's one that we didn't touch on, but apparently he had a music video out about 4 years ago. And unfortunately, he passed away, as we all know, after a hard-fought battle with cancer. And as of now, it's unclear if Psyops was completed and if it will be released posthumously. So I guess we'll have to kind of see.
I'd be shocked if they didn't release it posthumously.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he had
in
been
some
working
form, whether
on
it's
it-
complete or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he had been working on it as far back as 2019 or maybe even earlier, if this was something that he had been working on since then, of course, he could have put it on hold due to his illness. But regardless, I'm sure that I mean they've released tons of unfinished stuff from artists as far back as what Hendrix, the Beatles.
Oh yeah, Hendrix is still coming out with new albums.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that if the music is there and they have the rights and the means and all that, we could be getting a posthumous release from him someday. So that's something I'll hopefully look forward to.
Yeah, and
but until then, we have a wealth of a catalog by him, and just listening to him tonight just made me realize, like, wow, what a great guitar player. I slept on him for way too long, and I'm glad that I did discover what I have discovered of his music, and heard quite a bit of it. But
right, yeah, and only since doing this show did I really, I didn't dive super deep, but that's when I heard some of the Thin Lizzy stuff and some of his solo stuff. But and then the Hughes. Honestly, I don't know if I even knew that he was on the HTP album. I had heard it, but I don't think I knew he was on just that one song. But yeah, a lot of people didn't even seem to know that he was sick. I know Glenn Hughes had made a comment that he didn't even know he was ill at all. Not that they were, probably kept in touch to that level, but Michael Schenker released a statement. I think it was just today. I am shocked to hear that John Sykes has passed away. Too young to die and so much talent. My condolences to his family and his loved ones. Rest in peace, John.
Well, I know that I was, I wish that I had thought about it, but there was a I don't know if it was a John Sykes interview or if, something about him, but it was maybe within the past year. I think it was like Eddie Trunk, and I mean, I don't listen to his show a lot anymore because he doesn't really have on a lot of guests that I'm interested in these days. I think he's kind of pivoted more toward other maybe other music, or at least what's coming out on his podcast. But I mean, I could have sworn, yeah, exactly. But I could have sworn that he had on either Sykes or somebody that had done a project with him, and he was kind of like musing over, like, oh man, I wish he'd come out of hiding and do something, and he hasn't been active for so many years, and it'd be great to see him again. And so I do remember that kind of thing going on. So that's what makes me feel like he was probably very private about his illness and his struggles, and not a lot of people knew. So
yeah, it does seem that way, and it seemed to catch a lot of people off guard. They didn't even know that he was sick. But yeah, you never know what's going on in somebody's life. That I wish he's putting out more music, and there's a reason he's not. But really had a lot of fun digging into his stuff, and I know a lot of other people are doing the same. There's some great videos that have been popping up on YouTube over the past few days, just people doing their little tributes to John Sykes, and we're no different. Just kind of looking back at the stuff we knew, the stuff we didn't know. Some people obviously are huge fans. It's going to be much more devastating for them to go through it, and for us, it's kind of a catalyst to listen a little more deeply into his career and even appreciate him more than we already did.
Yeah. So, go out there and look for some Sykes, whether it's on record or on a live performance, and crank it and listen to this guy wail.
Oh yeah, you could go down a YouTube rabbit hole with live performances and everything for probably 4 days straight and not listen to the same thing twice. So I encourage you to do so, and you will be greatly missed, but never forgotten. It's great that
absolutely
we're losing a lot of these amazing players, but they have their legacy is cemented in all of the great material they have out there. For somebody's going to be discovering John Sykes because of his passing and becoming a huge fan after not even maybe having known who he was. So and then diehard fans are also going to be doing the same sort of mourning as they remember his stuff. So do it. Crank up the John Sykes, and we'll be at you next week.
All right.
With our Fireball rating. It's episode
Oh boy, I better get on those ratings.
Get on those ratings.
Oh boy,
it's pretty easy for an album like that, well. All right, well, catch you next week, John.
All right, see you on the flip side.
Later.
If you like the Deep Purple podcast and would like to support the show, please consider joining our Patreon or donating on PayPal. Patrons get full access to the podcast, Discord server, ratings, spreadsheets, and live stream invites. You can also leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow the show on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, or Threads. You can also check out the website at deeppurplepodcast.com for show notes and more. Contact us via email at John or Nate at deeppurplepodcast.com. Thanks for listening.